There's a series I hold near and dear to my heart, the Anne of Green Gables series, and in particular, there is one dress that I instantly connect with every time I see it. It's a dress that breathes both Edwardian opulence and seaside splendor. Today we're making Anne of Green Gables sailor ensemble. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. We are definitely in a different location than normal, but suffice it to say, today is one of the last projects you will see in a while that I am making up here in Alaska before I head home for the fall semester. Your girl's a sophomore in college now. Oh my gosh. Today we are remaking this absolutely stunning garment worn by Megan Follows in the 1980s version of Anne of Green Gables. We are making her sailor suit, and I have been having this project floating in the back of my mind for about 9 months. I started really thinking about it, March-ish time frame, and I was really hooked on the idea of seeing if I could recreate something as close to the original image as possible. So today, the sailor suit is our next victim. So here's the game plan. I have about 3 weeks till I head up to Homer. Now, Homer has a really beautiful rocky beach, and I'm trying to replicate as much of the Anne of Green Gables show settings as possible. So think lots of wispy moors, lots of beautiful rocky and a little bit sandy beaches, a lot of pretty mountains, a lot of like wispy hazy blue skies, and a lot of really pretty willowy type plants. And yeah, so knowing that that is the game plan, we are trying to leave the 25th. It is currently the 8th of July, and I have about 2-ish weeks to complete this. That's about it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and break down this design a little bit more and begin our next installment of the Edwardian series. Okay guys, so we have transitioned to the downstairs of my parents' house, and now I'm going to go ahead and show you the patterns and the fabric we're going to be using. So first and foremost, the first pattern I got off eBay, and it's this beautiful simplistic Edwardian inspired piece. Now the game plan here is we're going to basically make this word for word or image for image identical to the picture, other than two things. The first thing being, we're not doing a contrasting color. We're doing the same fabric for the tie portion. Secondly, the tie portion is going to be diced into 2 halves. So this is going to be the same color as the rest of the dress. This is going to be a different color. And then finally, this waistband and over the skirt situation is not going to actually happen. Instead, we're going to have the shirt just tucked into the skirt. We are just going to use the same skirt pattern that I used for my previous Edwardian ensemble because it's already cut out, and that is the Butterick 5970 pattern. And this time we're actually going to line it because the fabric I'm using is pretty sheer, and I just want to make sure that I'm not flashing the seagulls. Anyway, let's go ahead and show you the fabric. So I did not find in time a beautiful pinstripe blue and white similar enough to the original image that you saw at the beginning of this video. So instead, we are making it with this really pretty white. And it's this really crisp white stripe that just screams Edwardian. I don't know if you can really see the details clear enough, but it's absolutely stunning. I really like it. We have about 6 yards of it, which hopefully will be enough. And I ended up getting it on 2 trips because apparently Joann's was closing. Who knew? And now it's back. So tell me that 2025 doesn't have whiplash. Yeah, I didn't think so. Anyway, we got 2 halves because one was the first half that I bought in one store and one was the second half that I bought in a second store. Because they ran out on one of the bolts. Secondly, we have this really beautiful sheer, I forget the name of it, but it's a historical fabric that's used to line a lot of Edwardian collars and stuff, and it's this really pretty sheer stripe. This is technically a draping fabric that's used under curtains, but it works really dang well for historical purposes. And then finally, to line the skirt and the bodice, we have about 3 yards of this leftover white cotton muslin. So now that I've shown you everything, let's go ahead and cut our patterns out, cut our fabric out, and I will meet you back once we're done. Oh, actually, quick thing. I am going to be using this blue scrap. I have way more of it, FYI, for the smaller halves of the ties, because I still would like to have that beautiful contrast like the original dress had with the blue stripes and the dark navy. So now that I've explained everything, let's go ahead and cut stuff out. We have gone ahead and cut all the fabric out, and now we're going to go ahead and start by sewing together the bodice. Okay guys, the first thing we're going to do is add this modesty panel after sewing this edge down. Once that's done, we will attach the sides of the front of the bodice to the back, and then we will attach the shoulder seams, and then finally we will attach the collar, and this is most of the bodice. Surprisingly, this is like one of the simplest projects I've sewn in a very long time, which is a tad odd. But otherwise, that's our game plan, so I will meet you back once all that's finished, and we will move on to the sleeves. The next thing we're going to work on is the sleeve cuffs and the sleeves. The first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is attach blue ribbon to the cuffs, and then once that's done, we'll go ahead and sew the cuffs together and then attach them to the base of the sleeve, and then finally we'll attach that to the bodice. Okay guys, it is the next morning, so now we're going to go ahead and start by putting together the skirt. So I have gone ahead and laid out all the panels, so this skirt is pretty huge. These are all the main front panels, and then this is the center back panel, and instead of cutting all the way down to the base, I'm going to just do a button closure with a waistband. This is the set of lining panels. They're a lot smaller than the rest of the body of the skirt, but my plan is to do a similar slit in the back and attach it like so. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and attach all of this together, and then I will meet you back in different segments to show you the progress. Okay guys, now that I've gone ahead and attached all the really beautiful blue trim, oh by the way, guess who got their haircut? I'll show you a little bit more of it later, but anyway, now that I've cut all the blue trim out and sewn it to the base of the skirt, we're going to go ahead and sew the skirt paneling together, and then once that's done, we're going to go ahead and sew a lining skirt in, and then we'll add a waistband with some really pretty pleating in the back. Okay Okay guys, change of plan. So the bodice actually looks really good right now on top of the skirt, now that the skirt is finished. And so instead of making them two separate pieces, even though the original canonical outfit was two pieces, just for easiness for my sake, I'm gonna go ahead and attach the skirt to the bodice, and then we'll go ahead and finish up the back with a button placket is kind of the game plan right now. So here's what she looks like. This is her without the collar sewn, which is our last thing we need to do, but here's the skirt, here's the bodice, and I think they both look really cute, so if I put them into one, it'll just make it a lot easier for travel. But anyway, here's our bodice. The last thing we need to do, ignore the extremely holy socks, is sew the collar. And then once that's done, we will be completed with this project. Also, as far as the lining goes, I'm just going to sew it separately and then wear it as an underskirt. But now that I've shown you what our plan is, I'm going to go ahead and attach the bodice to the skirt. And then once we're done there, the last thing we have to do is work on our sailor collar and sew up the buttons. So let's go ahead and finish her up. Oh, I forgot to mention one thing. For the back, there is going to be some knife pleats. I'm planning on doing a couple box pleats in the back just to use up a lot of the fabric. But otherwise, the last thing to note is that when the skirt and the bodice are attached, I'm going to add a strip of blue around the waistband to denote where the top and bodice would have been separate. And that's it. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get back to sewing, and I'll meet you back when we're done. Okay guys, now that we've gone ahead and finished the skirt, we're going to go ahead and do the final step of the bodice, which is basically sewing a button placket on the back. And once the buttons are all completely sewn, the last thing we're going to do is work on the sailor collar. And then that will be everything for the most part done for this project. The last thing that we're going to do is just whip together this cute little chemise so I can have somewhat historical undergarments for this project. Now I have loads of petticoats now from my previous Edwardian project, but I want to make sure that I have a chemise so the top is also historically accurate. So now that I've updated you guys, let's go ahead and finish her up. I'll give you a little bit of an update on how the sailor collar is going to be sewn, but otherwise, let's go ahead back downstairs and get sewing. One last thing, currently eating ramen. Kudos to my younger brother, but otherwise, this is our Alaska weather update. Beautiful sunny afternoon. It's almost 8 p.m. at night, and now that you've seen basically everything that's going on, it's back down to sew. Okay guys, now it's time to tackle the sailor collar. So the game plan is to attach the lining panels and the exterior panels together, and then to sew these together and attach them just the same way. And then once these panels have all been sewn, I'm going to sew a nautical trim along the edges to match the skirt paneling and the sleeves. And then once that's done, the rest of the sailor ensemble should be completely completed. So if you don't see me before the final results, I hope you had a wonderful time watching this video as much as I did creating it. We're gonna finish up this cute little sailor collar and call it a night. And without further ado, let's go ahead and finish the Edwardian sailor suit.